Hello, everyone. I had a few minutes today and I wanted to come in and clear up some misconceptions, what I consider about surviving and living, because there's a huge difference. And there's a lot of misconceptions out here in the prepper and survivalist movement. Now, Morris Kahansky said that the more you know, the less you have to carry. And the less you know, the more you have to carry. And that makes total sense when you think about it. Because knowledge is what's going to keep you alive, not gear. Okay? Gear and, we all do that, with the gear and the guns and gold and everything else and the food storage and the water. That's particularly, that type of surviving is based on an event, okay? Something that catches you off guard, where you live, if you're bugging in. And to me, that's, you're just surviving. Or you survive an event where you're stranded in the woods, you're deserted on a desert island after a plane crash, whatever. You deal with whatever gear you have. You get by with whatever you can. Where living is a little different. Living is more of becoming one with your habitat, becoming one with your land base, using everything around you to your advantage, like the indigenous people of this land long ago. So, and I always say you can't buy survival. It's just not going to happen. And that's what a lot of people do. They treat it like an insurance policy, you got insurance for your car, you got insurance for your house. Well, in case of, an event, whichever it may be, take your pick, natural disasters, whatever, grid down. So take your pick for the event. But what it boils down to is people store all this food away, water, gear, guns, gold, bullets, ammo, blah, everything. And they believe that they're just going to live forever, for generations and generations. And that's not really living. And I've done this for, my God, 20 years, storing food, rotating food. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but there is a difference. People believe that surviving in that fashion with gear and food storage and water and everything else, that's living. No, it's knowledge that's going to keep you alive, because what if you have to pick up and leave all of that? And then people say, well, when crap hits the fan, I'm just going to grab my bug-out bag, throw it on my shoulder, and I'm heading to the hills. Good luck with that. If you don't have the knowledge to live off the land and survive out there, you're a goner. You'll die. So that takes me into something else. Another misconception is like military. People think that someone who was in the military, well, he knows how to survive automatically just because he was in the military, whether it's the U.S. military or some foreign military. Well, that's not the case either. Look at that show. If you don't know about it, check it out. It's like on the History Channel. I watch very little TV, hardly ever. But when I do, it's something knowledgeable. It's something like a documentary or something that's challenging, like the show. It's called Alone. And in the first season, they had a guy who was actually he was an instructor for the military, and he was a survival instructor. And he tapped out in like the first 5 days. He was drinking contaminated water and everything else. He even stated that in the military we train our people to get off the X. That's what they call it, get off the X. So don't always assume that people that are in the military are automatically, they know how to survive. Look at the guy in season 2, the first, he tapped out in 6 hours. He didn't even stay the night. I mean, my God. Anyway, and he was in the military for 17 years. Now, the exception to that is your special operations groups. Any of your special ops guys, any of your airborne guys, your fighter pilots, these guys have had extensive training in order to, survive in certain situations. But again, that's not living, okay? I can go out here, I can be stranded. I can go out here somewhere alone and be stranded and whatever, and I can survive. I can do very well for myself because of knowledge that I've attained over the years and putting it into practical application and using it. But, again, that's not living. I can survive a long time, but it's not living. You see, that's where I want to get into the living aspect here. The only way you're going to live and have any type of meaningful life is with community or with some type of tribe. We're all going to, and this is coming. It may not be in our lifetime. Maybe in the next life. Maybe in the next generation. I don't know. Maybe tomorrow. But we're going to be forming tribes. We're going to have all our own tribes. And that's the only way you're going to live and have any meaningful life, because no one can do it alone. Maybe for a period. Like I say, I could do really good for a long time. But eventually, by myself and being alone, I'm eventually going to starve, because people don't understand. I don't care who it is, your hardcore survivalist, your guy, even special ops trained, he was a Navy SEAL out there in the woods, he can do it all, he could live forever. Wrong. A lot of people have a misconception. You know, you're going to face starvation in the long term by yourself or alone, because it's a very complex problem to maintain your proper calorie count every day. It's a very complex issue. The more you learn, the more you realize it's very, very complex. So, you know, think about this. George Jasper also said that in a survival situation, you need to fish first, okay? So you're going to want to fish, trap, and hunt in that order. Fish, trap, and hunt. Because you can go fish and have a meal today, and then you can go set traps. And traps hunt 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whether you're sleeping, whether you're awake, whether you're there or not, traps are hunting for you. And then while you have a meal from fishing, you got your traps set, now you can hunt, which will also put more calories on your table. And that is something that goes all the way back to the hunter-gatherer, which is where we're going anyway, because the way this world operates now is not sustainable. No matter how you look at it, it's just not sustainable due to energy. And that's a whole other subject, is energy density and how we live now. But it would behoove you to learn how to fish, learn how to trap. A lot of you might not agree with that, but it's something you may want to learn. And I'm going to put some stuff out, but I don't want to offend a lot of people either. But at the same time, I'm not going to put out there where, you know, we're actually trapping and everything else. And, you know, there's numerous hunting and trapping videos right here on YouTube. And the best way to do any of this, the best way to learn any of this stuff, is practical application, actually doing it. And then after you become knowledgeable on doing it, then you need to teach it. You need to teach others. Primitive living skill sets. That's the way to go. So anyway, I just wanted to give my opinion on the difference between surviving and living, and I hope it helped. But don't just rely on your food storage, water. You know, the people who have a million cans of baked beans and thousands of gallons of water, you know, it's the clock's running. The clock's running on them, and if it's not running on them, it's running on their children. It's community and tribes are where we are going to live and survive. Other than that, stay at the ready. Take care. Hello everyone. I had a few minutes today and I wanted to come in and clear up some misconceptions, what I consider about surviving and living, because there's a huge difference. And there's a lot of misconceptions out here in the prepper and survivalist movement. Now, Morris Kahansky said that the more you know, the less you have to carry. And the less you know, the more you have to carry. And that makes total sense when you think about it. Because knowledge is what's going to keep you alive. Hello everyone. I had a few minutes today and I wanted to come in and clear up that the more you know, the less you have to carry. And the less you know, the more you have to carry. And that makes total sense when you think about it. Because knowledge is what's going to keep you alive. misconceptions, what I consider, about surviving and living, because there's a huge difference. And there's a lot of misconceptions out here in the prepper and survivalist movement. Now, Morris Kahansky said,